Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. I'm Jamie, and with me, as always, is
Jack,
Joe,
and Data.
And this week, we're starting on Elantris, where we're reading the prologue and chapters 1, 2, and 3, wherein we meet Prince Raoden, I think I got that right, of Arelon, who has recently become a member of the Undead and takes us into the cursed city of Elantris. We meet his widowed, soon-to-be bride. Yes, you heard that right. Her name's Serene, and she is introduced to the city of Kay and becomes uncomfortable with the city's reaction to Raoden's untimely demise. We finally meet Raven, a high-placed member of the Dorethi religion, who's arrived in Kay to convert the kingdom to his religion or die in 3 months' time. So we're wasting no time working our way into this new adventure. So hold on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Feed the fire, set me free in this city of dreams. Push my mind into overload. Hack the wire, smash the gene in this city of dreams. We'll be immortal in the code. Mind into overload.
So yeah, let's start off just off the bat talking about the pronunciations, because before we started doing this whole thing, we had a big conversation about them, and there is a pronunciation guide on Brandon's website that we've addressed some, but we're gonna pronounce these names weird because they're pronounced weird, and I don't like some of the pronunciations that are quote unquote correct. So I'm gonna say Raoden because that's how I say it in my head, and Hrathen, even though technically it's Raoden and Hrathen, but an interesting note is that Brandon has said when this book came out, one of the things that critics called out were they're like, look, I know fantasy names are a whole thing, but he has gone overboard on this one. Like, this is too far. And so he pulled it back a little bit for subsequent books like Mistborn, where we get easy names like Vin and Ham.
So glad I'm not the only one who felt the same way.
No, even for fantasy,
how the hell am I going to remember this?
exactly. Even fantasy. I mean, Frodo is not hard to say. You know, Gandalf. Maybe you have to have that explained to you. But then Sam is easy. Pippin, Merry, like those are easy names to say. Yeah, this is just like, I mean, this is both all over again. You're just like, what the hell? Why are you doing this?
Also, even the title is apparently it's technically pronounced Elantris.
Oh no.
What?
No.
Wrong.
No. It's Elantris.
So Julia Louis-Dreyfus lives here?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She's like the leper queen or something?
But I think the worst one is where it's like double I, you pronounce both long I sounds. So like when we've come across the first one of those, I'm going to have to call it out, but it's just, it sounds ridiculous to me.
Reminds me of how like George R.R. Martin would slip in like character names into like some of the other localities in A Song of Ice and Fire, specifically to fuck with pronunciation guides.
He's like, I'll teach you people to try to pronounce things.
He's kind of just like, look, you guys will pronounce these names however you want, so I'm going to slip in ones that your brain's just going to explode trying to figure it out. I'll just be like, hey, you pronounce it how you want.
That's when we just come along and go, you know what? Your name's Meow Meow.
Yep, exactly. That's what happens. I've seen, there's several books that I've read that are like, they'll have pronunciation guides at the beginning, and then it's just like, but you know, you do you. Like, I'm not going to hold you to, like, as you're reading in your head how you're supposed to pronounce these. I'm just providing this in case you want to know.
So Raoden's going to be Ray Ray, and Serene or Serene is going to be Say Say.
No.
Ray and Say Say.
Ray and Say Say.
I like it.
I'm opposed to this. I'm strongly opposed.
Right?
If you had just said Ray, I might be okay with it, but now they sound really similar, so I don't like it.
Yeah, that's the point. They were supposed to be married, so they're Ray and Say Say. That's
No,
their couple. That's
we
their
need a couple
name.
name. It has to be like one word is the couple name.
Oh, okay. So
Ray Say.
Ray Say.
Yep, there you go.
Ray Say Say.
Ray J. Johnson.
Ray J.
You can call him.
I do like Raycons.
Okay.
I mean, I've already started calling Rathan's boss Viking Pope, so.
Yeah, Viking Pope, exactly.
Viking Pope.
I'm on board with that.
It's basically what he is.
It seems like it, right? Like, it's very popish. what we hear about him.
It's like he's the guy who talks to God and spreads God's word among everyone else, and he's like the top of their religion and their kingdom. He's Viking Pope.
Yeah.
The Viking Pope.
So, what did you guys think? We're starting a new book, new planet, new everything, new incredibly hard to pronounce names. What did you guys think of the first prologue and first 3 chapters on this one?
Yeah, it was good to jump into a new story. In my head, visually, I'm having difficulty separating what I know of Mistborn to this book. So I'm really trying to separate them, but it's really hard. I kind of went through when we were hearing the description of Elantris, I was like, okay, well, that's Luthadel. And, oh, wait, no, it's not covered in ash. Uncover it.
Uncover it.
Uncover it. What?
Get
He's
the
wearing a
broom in
red
there.
cloak? Color in here? Okay. Oh, color. Yeah. Great. Flowers. Oh. So it is a bit of an adjustment coming into a new world, which is, it's quite funny. And I mean, I've mentioned it a couple of times, but like Mistborn was really my first introduction into a fantasy novel. So that's kind of all I know. Bringing it into a new novel, it's sort of followed me. But I liked that we jumped into it. We're not really wasting a lot of time. We are getting introduced to people pretty quickly. There is a lot of information to absorb. Obviously, a lot of characters, a lot of side characters, a lot of titles and positions and places and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time to sort of wrap my head around it. But so far, it's pretty good. I didn't expect us to go down like a zombie path. That was totally different. Yeah, and I guess similar structures. I guess you've still got noblemen and beggars and things like that to what we've read before. But yeah, I think I like it. I'm still processing it.
Yeah, and I don't think we're done meeting and experiencing new things and having to remember stuff at this point yet. So yeah,
sure we're not.
It's a very steep learning curve here. I guess when you're reading like crime fiction or something, you don't have to learn about the planet and stuff like that.
You already have some kind of picture of what the world looks like and what you're dealing with, and it's like, okay, murder, okay, I get that. Here's all the words. Hey, people have normal names. I can pronounce them properly. You know, you're learning bits and pieces, but you're already somewhat familiar. Where I think these books, you're stepping into just anything. It could be anything. And I think I've sort of got to let go of, even though it's part of the Cosmere, it doesn't mean that this has to fit with what we already know yet. So I think, like, on some level, my mind is trying to draw parallels. And I'm like, no, stop doing that. Just appreciate the story for what it is. So it'll take a little bit of time. I'm sure by the time we get to the end of the book, I'll figure it out.
I like that you pulled out the zombie thing, because that's one of the things that he's talked about before. Is he's like, yeah, I want to do a zombie book, but something that wasn't obviously zombie necessarily, so that it wouldn't, like, horror fans wouldn't have like this preconception of what a zombie story is supposed to be. So he's trying to do like subtle zombies. So I like that from the beginning you're like, oh no, this is like a zombie thing. I can see that.
Yeah, and that's not what I saw coming at all. So I think that was pretty well played. I like that.
I'm gonna go right out there and say I did not put together that was a zombie reference. So there you go.
Yeah,
The undead.
it came together
Hello?
for me when they said that, you know, and he's like, no, you're already dead, and like how their skin just gets soft and they don't get stamina back and they're always hungry. I'm like, oh, zombie.
Yeah, okay, now you say it like that. All right, I can sort of see it. I guess I'm just surprised because it's like you rarely see from the zombie's point of view. And in most zombie fiction, it's like, well, they're a zombie, that's it, end of story. Whereas this one, it's like, all right, one of our main characters is like this, so presumably there's going to be like hunt for a cure or some shit like that, which like doesn't really come up in zombie movies, or when it does, it's always doomed to fail. So, well, we'll see how that goes. But on the whole, I liked it. Yeah, we jumped in full steam ahead, like very brief prologue, and then each chapter says, all right, this is a main character, boom, this is a main character, boom, this is a main character, boom, and this is what they want. And like, all right, cool, we are just jumping in, and I like where this is going. I like these characters. I don't think I had a problem with the pronunciations until we started talking about it, and then my brain exploded. So, but yeah, no, I'm enjoying this. I like the new world. It is different enough from the Mistborn books where it's like, all right, you can see the differences. You can, like, I think I can fold my head into, it's like, all right, different place. I did what I always do, and I looked through the maps, and I noticed one of the maps did have a reference from a character we've met before, so there's that. But yeah, I don't know. Good start. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, look at that. Hold on. I'm going to go back and look at the maps. It's been so long since I've actually looked at those in these books that I wasn't even
Are
thinking
we
about.
allowed to look at the map?
That's at the
Just
beginning of the
assume
book,
we were.
right?
To what
So,
you tell
yeah.
me.
I would think that the maps are okay to look at.
I do it all the time in fantasy books. I like, you know, especially in Serene's chapter, where it's like talking about all the various places and the politicking and stuff like that. I'm just like, where is this place? Where am I looking at? And flick back to the map and look at it, and yeah, just saw a note down there from Naz.
Yeah. See, I told you that we would see some maps that had like his name on them, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I do it in fantasy books a lot too, because sometimes it's really important, the geography of thing, and it's not like cities or whatever in our world where you can get a good idea always about like what stuff generally looks like. It's like I want to know what they're talking about and where this is and where it is in relation to that last thing that we heard about or whatever. So I look at them a lot too. Oh yeah, on the map of with Fjorden on it, you have a note from Naz. Sure enough, this map has severe deficiencies, especially in the northwest, but it was the best I could find under the circumstances, considering where you abandoned me. Naz. Nice.
The first few chapters of a new story series are always really tough for me. It takes me getting into a good chunk of into a book before I have like strong feelings about it, because usually the first strong feelings that crop up when I read a book is like, oh, I don't like this. So I'm trying to like hold that feeling off since we're just getting into it. I will say that it is clear structurally and by the way that it's written to me that this was written before Mistborn, because of the things that Data said. You can tell it's not quite as polished. The way that he's doing transitions and things in the chapters, it's kind of abrupt. It's like, okay, we're with this character, and then there's a stop, and then we're with the same character, but it's later. So it's just kind of it's a weird style for transitions that it's kind of jarring for me. But so far I'm probably the most interested in the Raoden and Hrathen storylines, impending doom and being dead and trying to figure out how that works is more interesting to me than the secrets of court intrigue, but I'm sure hopefully they'll all weave together in an interesting way. So yeah, I mean, this is a brand new thing, and I'm kind of with Jamie. I'm like trying to draw parallels, and I have to remind myself, like, no, this is its own thing. I just have to, for right now, I just need to understand what's going on here. I don't need to try to draw so many parallels to the Cosmere as a whole. So I'm just trying to experience it for what it is. That being said, it's like the first day of school again, right? We're starting this new book, and it's like I thought I knew all this stuff, and now I'm like, oh no, now like I have to form predictions based on very little data. So it's going to be tricky trying to wrap my head around this new world and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, I am looking forward to it. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, also, I'll just take a moment to mention, since I didn't where I normally would, the new song is City of Dreams by Miracle of Sound. And when I dropped it into the Discord, people were like, wow, this is what you chose? Really? I like it. I think that if you look into the lyrics some, that they're really appropriate for the situation. So anyway, I guess let's get into these chapters. The prologue is like a page and a half, and that's with the giant illustration at the top of the page of circles, and I almost said rhombus. That's not a rhombus. What would you call that?
I don't know what that shape is.
No, yeah, okay. Anyway, so basically, once upon a time, Elantris was a really awesome city. The very stones glowed with an inner light, and the Elantrians who lived there also glowed, it says, like the city, with their brilliant white hair and their almost metallic silver skin. The legends claimed they were immortal, or nearly so.
So right there, I want to stop. White hair. When I read that for the first time, I immediately drew a parallel to the guys that we did the play about last time. I'm like, white hair. It's maybe
Oh, right.
they're Elantrians.
Well, I'm gonna add to that, like one of them had like the silvery sheen to his eyes. I'm like, oh, okay, that seems coincidental.
Yeah. So maybe these guys were Elantrians from before Elantris was a zombie place.
Okay. Yeah. The traveler did have white hair, and other dude had his eyes had silveriness to him. In this case, I think it says their skin was silver, and I don't know if either of those guys was described with like silvery skin, but that doesn't necessarily. That's an interesting thought. I like that. But I think that the interesting part about the Elantrian thing is that it tells us just people randomly became Elantrians. People who live in the area or whatever, they would just wake up one morning and all of a sudden they were all white-haired and glowy, silver-skinned and had superpowers. Beggar, craftsman, nobleman, warrior. It's just you suddenly transform and then you head off to Elantris to become a sort of living god, kind of, where you could live in bliss, rule in wisdom, and be worshipped for eternity. Eternity ended 10 years ago. It's a heck of a time for us to show up. It's 10 years after everything went to hell.
Now they have like a ghost town full of zombies, apparently.
Yeah, Zombie Town. Sure. That's what this book should be called. One of the things that he says in the annotations is he went through lots and lots of titles for this book before settling on this one, and it should have just been Zombie Town. Clearly, that's the way to go. Sorry.
You got to go with something that makes it obvious it's fantasy. Like Zombie Town could be anywhere. That could be downtown Nebraska somewhere.
It's true.
Yep.
I've been to a zombie town there. Who says I haven't?
I've never been to Nebraska. I don't need to see corn. It's fine.
I don't even know why I picked Nebraska. It was just the first place that popped in my head.
It's a rectangle. So, interesting note from the annotations is that this chapter originally began at the moment that like he gets tossed into the city. He thought that it was very dramatic, like the doors slam shut behind him bit. And then all of this came up later as like a flashback to when he wakes up and everything. And eventually he decided, I should just start there. It makes more sense than flashing back to it for no particular reason.
I think it would have been pretty confusing just to be all of a sudden like in the city, not quite understanding anything that just happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this way works.
Yeah, agreed.
So our friend Prince Raoden, whatever, Raoden, is what I'm going to call him, of Arelon. It's okay. How, we're just going to do this the whole time. How's that supposed to be pronounced? Let's see.
Can you say like Ari Lone or something?
Yes, R.A. Lone.
Lee.
Nope, Arelon. That's what it's called.
You know what? I reckon if you say it first, that's just how it's pronounced.
Yeah. See? It's just whatever my brain says it should be the first time over, that's what it's going to be. For me, anyway. He wakes up, and we get this like kind of first-person perspective of him, like drowsy and thinking about stuff. He can see the city of Elantris with its giant walls off just next to the city of Kae. So I want to know how you're supposed to pronounce that. I think I've always said K in my head. Does it say in here? Yeah. I think it must be K. It must be Ke, given how they say these vowels should be pronounced.
Nah, let's just do K.
I'm happy with
do it
K.
K-E.
Okay.
K.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh my god.
It just came out. I'm sorry.
So, getting turned into an Elantrian is called the Shaud, or Shaod. And it used to be great. Now it sucks. And he's thinking about, like, man, that sucks for those people, right? Am I right? Yeah. He calls for Ian and then frowns, and he's like, where's Ian? He frowned at the Seon's absence. So whatever the heck that means.
The Seon, isn't that what we figure out, like ashes and stuff?
The glowing ball.
Yeah,
oh,
it's like
yeah.
a glowing spirit ball.
I've forgotten that we actually did meet up with one of those. Good point.
Yeah. So maybe they
Oh, we don't
abandon
know
you
that
once you're dead. Like they're like, oh, we only hang out with the living. We're elitists that way.
We're glowing balls of light, but we're not hanging around with people with blotches, no.
No, that's no good.
You've got a skin condition? No.
But then his food
Light bulb
shows
really
up.
hates acne.
Yes, my eczema flared up, and my glowing light friend left me. He said he couldn't bear to be seen with me.
They're very
Quite shallow little balls.
Yeah, they're very shallow balls, exactly. Oh gosh.
Shallow balls. That's a new band name I call it.
They're very superficial. Light balls. The maid shows up with his food, but he opens the door, and when she sees him, she drops it and screams out, "Merciful Domi," and runs away. He's like, "What?" And he runs over and looks in the mirror, and it says his face was covered in sickly black patches, like dark bruises, and that must mean that the shout had come upon him.
He sighs in relief. He's like, "Oh, I thought somebody had written a penis on my forehead again."
Your nose
How did
is
it go
gone.
So you don't even get white hair anymore. It says that his hair changed from sandy brown to limp gray. So you just look old, I guess. I don't know.
All the sparkle's gone.
It's like it's like in Scott Pilgrim where his hair's all standing up, and then when he loses his powers, it like slouches and falls down. And this next part is where the story originally began, with the Elantris city gate booming shut behind him, because he thought that was a really nice opening line. King Iodine, whatever. His name's King Iodine now.
Well, he seems
boy.
like a bit of a bastard, makes everything sting, so.
Yeah, it seems like he'd be used in salt to make it kosher or whatever.
He wouldn't even meet his son's eyes as he orders the priest to prepare him and throw him into the city. So
He's dead, Jim.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be pretty horrifying, though, to be like, well, my son died, but he's still here and talking to me.
He just got his hands on his ears going, la, 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 can't hear you.
It would make for an awkward situation, yeah.
Yeah.
So it appears when you get thrown into Elantris, they basically treat it like your funeral, and they dress you in like a robe, like that they would bury you in, like a shroud, and then they give you a basket of food, like they would bury somebody with stuff, and they chuck you in there and shut the door behind you and like stay in there. Don't bother any normal people with your weirdness.
Yeah, stop trying to eat our food.
And like he's thinking back, he's like, man, I've stood on those walls and looked down at like the poor creatures in the city, just like the guards are looking at me now. This sucks.
All in all, he was having a rough morning.
Yeah, he's like, this is actually him later, like, dear diary, what a day. Woke up dead. I don't even know how that works. And then I got thrown in here. Now I made friends with a guy. Well, really, I'm just saying I'll give him this food if he shows me around.
Oh man, we're gonna get there in a minute. I love that guy. He's the best. But we find out that every surface in Elantris is covered with goop.
Every surface in Elantris is covered in goop. I didn't remember this part.
Yeah, it's like that
All,
slime.
slimy and shit.
It's ectoplasm.
I really hope this is not just like excrement of the people there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they just rub it on everything.
Ugh.
Ew.
No, it's not good.
He can hear
If
you.
you're dead, do you have excrement?
That's a good question. I mean, they can still eat, so
Yeah. And drink wine, and I guess assuming if they really like wine, they may even still be able to get drunk.
I like that apparently it used to be a very colorful place, but it's all covered now with this one like sludge color, and so it makes everything look the same color now.
Delicious sludge.
Yep.
This asbestos tastes yummy.
And he sees several lanterns just kind of laying around. Some of them sitting in like pools of water because it rained last night, not caring. One woman at the far end of the courtyard screams and just keeps screaming until her strength or her breath gave out. This is a depressing place. This is like It Sucks to Be a Ska, but we may have upped the ante on that.
Yeah, it sucks to be dead. I mean, I feel like that's a given.
It sucks to be dead but not dead?
Yeah, it sucks to be undead.
Vin and Elend were okay with being dead, more or less. Yeah, the undead.
Yeah, I
That's the
guess.
part.
I feel like, though, if Vin and Elend had died and gone to a place like this, they may have been a little
Yeah.
happier.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, I'm
Okay,
like, oh man,
Says this was
slime.
fun, we need to come back.
Says, why does your afterlife suck so much? And so there's people like hanging out around. He sees like watching him, like they're waiting for something, and he's like, okay, this is unnerving. Okay. And eventually he moves and he starts walking around, and the stench was overwhelming. The omnipresent sludge had a musty, rotten scent like that of dying fungus, so that's nice. And then there's a boy that he meets who's like, food, please. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. I'll give you some of this food. Turns out that wasn't the best idea.
But it establishes our prince as, like, he's an all right dude. So he's a starving kid. He's not going to be one of those high and mighty royals who's just like, ew, the human touched me.
Yeah, he's somebody
Get
we
away,
can really
peasant.
get behind as an undead guy.
Yeah.
If
I
we're
like
going
this
to have
horse.
a zombie hero, then
Yeah,
this is a good kind
this
of
is the
zombie.
kind you want. Yeah, you don't want one of like the zombies from World of Warcraft that are like under the control of the Lich King, and then after the Lich King, they're under control of like the queen of the Horde or whatever. You want a cool dude, a nice guy, a guy whose jaw is still on.
Sure. But as soon as he wanders off, 5 dudes jump the kid and really mess him up. The boy, as he gets his food stolen, he's crying out, and one of them just clubs his neck with a crunching sound, and the boy just falls down, and they're spasming or something. It's not
pretty.
No.
Yeah,
And then they
it's
start
pretty,
chasing him.
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, right? They're chasing him down, and he only gets away by throwing his basket of food up into the air behind him and continuing to run, because that's what they're actually interested in. And it's not even like that much food in there. There's like some grain and a few other little bits, but it describes how the 5 dudes crouch in the muck of the street, picking up the scattered vegetables and grain and just shoving stuff in their mouths. It says one guy had a handful that was a lot more sludge than corn and just shoves it all in his mouth.
Oh.
Yeah. And Rowden stubs his toe getting away, which doesn't seem like that big a deal at first. And then a voice is like, looks like they forgot about you, Sule. And he's like, what the? Oh, there's somebody else here. Okay. Hi.
Pleased to meet you. I just moved in.
Also definitely Elantrian, but not apparently from Erelon. His skin has the patches, but the unaffected parts were more dark brown colored than his pale skin. So I guess people from Erelon are white, is what we learned.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, geez, I'm so glad that you're like a normal talking guy, not like insane or dying or whatever. And he's like, well, we can't be dying. We're already dead. Kolo? ? Apparently, according to the annotations, this guy originally had much more of a dialect that he was speaking in. And he kind of backed off on that in rewrites.
Yeah. Now he's just a Moogle that says Kupo after everything. Got it.
I just kept thinking, oh no, it's another spook. Stop.
Yeah, I can deal with Kupo over spook talk for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
But
a word or two is better than an entire sentence.
Yeah. And just so listeners understand, I'm saying Kupo on purpose.
We find out this is Galadon from Duladel.
What a fucking name.
The pronunciation, it says, is Galadon. So
Oh, God.
Gal Gadot. I'm going to call him Gal Gadot now. And he's Gal Gadot from Dunedain, not Duladel.
And if you look at the maps, Duladel is just south of Erelon, across the Colorno River. Colorno, I don't know. So it's nearby.
Yeah, just across the Colombo River.
Oh my gosh. And he's like, wait, how can you be from Duladel? I thought the Shroud only affected people from Erelon. And he's like, yeah, we're like a mix of people down there. We got mixed blood, so there's some Ereline, some Fjorl, some Teo.
Some other made up shit.
I do like that he's like, hey, what's wrong? You got a splinter in the wrong place? There aren't many right places for that, I suppose. That's a good point. You don't want a splinter anywhere in particular.
Yeah.
Just a very friendly, conversational dude. He's like, oh, I stubbed my toe, but like the pain's not going away. It sucks. Like, yep, welcome to Elantris, Sule. You're dead. Your body does not repair itself like it should. Every pain, every cut, nick, bruise, and ache will stay with you until you go mad from the suffering. Welcome to Elantris.
And that would suck. Imagine just like living with a paper cut for the rest of your life.
Yeah. The
Or your
pain
unlife.
never even dulls. Like it's always as painful as when you first felt it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
one of those people that I'm sure my toes or my knees or my elbows, they see corners and go, I better hit that. And I bump it. I come home with mystery bruises. Like, I've broken 6 toes. I would not last in this place because I would just be broken.
That sucks.
It
My
does.
My wife hasn't broken any toes, but she is just constantly like, if there's a corner, she's gonna bump into it.
Yep. It's actually really good. I wear steel cap boots to work now, so I haven't broken
Thank
a toe
God.
in which is good. But yeah, I break them on. I've broken them on chairs, corners. My parents were painting our hallway when I was a kid, and I used to do a lot of dance, so I was practicing down the hallway. They'd taken down all our wooden frames, so I kicked 2 toes on that. That was fun. Yeah. So I would not last you. I would need my steel caps with me even if I was dead.
Yeah, just remember that if you ever become a zombie, be like, I need those boots.
If you're going to
Send
send me
them
off
down.
into the afterlife with anything, make sure my boots come with me.
Dress
Yeah,
me
can I
in
just have
steel
those,
caps.
please?
Oh god, brings a whole new meaning to like going out with your boots on.
Yeah.
Like, why does it say in the last will and testament that like your funeral attire must be a full suit of plate armor? It makes sense, damn it.
Because if I come back undead, I'm going to be really mad if I break everything.
Oh man, think if like the zombie apocalypse starts and like people are digging out of graves in the cemetery and one just shows up in like a full set of armor. That would be intimidating.
I mean,
Oh,
how's it
that'd
going
be
to eat
epic.
people if it's wearing a helmet?
Mm.
He just pulls it up.
I guess if it's like a conquistador helmet, it doesn't have like a face piece or something, so you could.
Sure. True.
It's like that zombie's trying to eat people and doesn't realize he can't get his mouth through the helmet, so he just winds up headbutting people to death. And we're back to the headbutt of doom.
That's the secret to controlling the zombie outbreak. You just got to put helmets on everybody that they can't get off, so they can't bite anyone. In the story. Oh gosh. And so Rowden's like, how do you stand? Like, this is horrible. Like, it hurts a lot. And this is just one tiny like bump. And he's like, and Galadon says, well, we don't. We're either super careful or we end up like those rouleaus you saw in the courtyard. And the courtyard reminds Rowden of the boy. And so he runs back and the boy is still alive in a way. Eyes staring blankly, lips working soundlessly, neck completely crushed and a massive gash exposing the vertebrae and the throat, trying without success to breathe.
Just lovely.
And Galadon's like, yeah, not much left for this one. And Rowden's like, how long is he going to live like that? And Galadon's like, no, you don't get it. He's not alive because we're not alive. That's why we're here. He will stay like that forever. That is, after all, the typical length of eternal damnation. And Rowden's like, well, can't we do something? He's like, well, we could try burning him, assuming we could even make a fire. Elantrian bodies seem to burn better than those of normal people, and some think that's a fitting death. He's like, but what happens to his soul? He's like, he doesn't have a soul, or that's what the priests tell us anyway. All these different religions say the same thing. We're damned. And he's like, but that doesn't answer my question. Will the pain stop if he's burned? And Galen's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, how are you supposed to know? You're going to ask somebody after you've burned them? Like, some people say if you burn us or cut off our heads or completely destroy the body in any way, we'll stop existing. Others say that the pain goes on. Kolo? And he's like, yeah, hi, Kolo.
Yes, become pain, floating through the land and just settling on someone to really annoy the shit out of them when they stub their toe.
Oh.
That's why the pain's so much more, because there's a whole bunch of people that are just pain now that go, oh, that guy just stubbed his toe. Quick, get him.
Time for a visit from the pain ghosts.
Get her. That was your whole plan. Get her. Okay.
Pain ghosts. There's a band name, Joe.
Ooh, that is
It's got potential.
Eternal pain ghosts.
Pain ghost. No, ghost pain romance. There you go.
Ooh. So I think we can get from context clues that Kolo means understand, because he's like, Kolo? And he's like, yeah, I Kolo. So we got that much. And then at the end of this section, Rowden's like, just realizes suddenly, I don't have a heartbeat. And Galadon looks at him as if he's made an utterly idiotic statement. He's like, Sule, you're dead. Kolo? Apparently Sule seems to be like a first person thing. I don't know.
Maybe Galadon's just blind. He doesn't quite get how Marco Polo works. He's trying to say polo.
I'm telling you, it's just saying Kupo.
But Kupo is like Smurf. Like, you can replace any word with Kupo.
I don't think that's true. They usually only say it after they're done talking, Kupo.
Oh, is that right? Okay. I'm going to have to go back and do
It's
some
like,
Final Fantasy.
you're on a radio or something. It's like over.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's basically asking the dude after every single thing he says, like, do you get it? You understand?
Would you
It's
like me
clearly
to
he does
repeat
not.
that?
Okay, now I'm looking up Kupo. A term. The trademark utterance of Moogles. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Added at the
Or-
end of many sentences as a means of emphasizing the sentence.
Sure.
All right.
Can you Smurf and believe it?
In some games, the Moogles can only speak in Kupos.
That's true.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. Sidetracked with
Kupopo.
They didn't burn the body because they don't have anything to set afire anyway. And beyond that, Galadon's like, well, we don't really have the choice to make that decision, like with the right to make that decision for him, right? So they just leave him in the street there to be in pain eternally. And Galadon starts to leave, and Raoden's like, hey, no, hold on. I want your help. And he's like, this is Elantris, Sule. There is no such thing as help. Pain, insanity, and a whole lot of slimes are the only thing you will find here. And so we find out that Raoden snuck out a bit of food before he threw the basket away. And he's like, so, you must be really hungry, right? Like, I'm really hungry, and I haven't eaten since, like, last night. It must be a lot longer for you guys.
I got some jerky.
So, yeah, he tries to bribe him. Like, he's like, I used to wonder when King Iodine fed the Elantrians, because I never saw any supplies entering. I guess I just didn't understand that. Like, he's the prince. He's, like, the king's son. He never really paid any attention to the fact that no food goes to these people.
Well, he's probably just been raised on propagandas like these are horrible people. Do not ever get involved with them. Stay the hell away from them. Don't think about them. So
That's a fair point.
Well, and conceivably he was around before the Elantrians, because if this was only 10 years ago, he's very obviously older than 10.
Back when Elantris was cool.
Yeah.
Also, we find out here, he's like, you called me Sule, Galadon. How could you kill one that you've dubbed a friend? So I guess Sule means friend. He's like, wait, you speak Dulladan? Yeah.
I'm not your Sule, buddy. I'm not your buddy, friend.
So he's like, I want you to show me around for 30 days, and I will give you this piece of jerky. It's like, 30 days? Sule, you're Kayana. I love the dialect parts. They're fun. It's much more fun than Spook Talk.
Yeah, at least with this, I know I'm not supposed to know exactly what he's saying.
And Rulo seems to be a negative thing that you can say, call someone, because he calls him a conniving Rulo.
Rulo is just shit.
You're a conniving shit. Okay, yeah, sure. But just when he agrees, he's muttering. He's like, Rulo. Okay, 30 days. Fortunately, I wasn't planning any extended trips during the next month. And Galadon's like, okay, well, after Raoden refuses to give his name, because he figures it probably is best if people don't know that he's royalty.
Smart.
Galadon's, yeah, probably. Or maybe no one would care. Who knows? Galadon's like, okay, it's time for the grand tour. And that's the end of this chapter. And we cut over to Serene, who the pronunciation guide says should be pronounced Serini, but I think Serini sounds dumb, so I'm not going to do it. Sorry, Brandon. She gets off of a ship to discover that she is a widow. And despite the fact that she's never met her husband, apparently there was a clause in the marriage contract that was agreed to between these two kingdoms where if someone dies before the wedding is actually carried out, then you just treat it as if they had been married.
Always read the fine print, kids.
And her companion, a melon-sized ball of light, is like, I never liked that clause.
Just I guess picturing that gaseous ball of cloud that Amy tried to set Leela up in like an early episode.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
Ben is just like, I think you came from a dimension that was big on musical theater.
She's like, how was I supposed to know that Prince Raoden wouldn't last the 5 days it took us to cross the sea? And the king sent one dude to meet his new daughter, I guess, to be like, oh yeah, your husband died of an unexpected disease as opposed to expected diseases in the last few days. So
yeah, he didn't get his planned injection of the plague. He died before we could give it to him.
Yes, her Seon is named Ashe. We're gonna see how to pronounce that. That is an Aeon. So let me look at the list of Aeons. Ash.
I mean, if you're talking about Aeons, you got Veilfor, Shiva, Ifrit.
No, Aeon is spelled Aon, not A. I don't see a pronunciation for this actually. Maybe it's in the back of the book where it lists the Aeons. And I'm determined. I'm going to find this. I'm going to find out how to pronounce it so I can not pronounce it that way. That'll teach him. I don't know. It doesn't really say here either. Okay. Probably, given how it said that we pronounced the vowels, it's probably like Aishi or something. Okay, sorry. Going back to where I was. She's the widow of a man that she's never met. We find out that Aish has left Erelon long ago and lived here for only a short time. So I guess he's been here before. Floating ball of light dude. Thanks. That's helpful.
I'm going to call that guy Ash.
Sure. Ash Ketchum. He's a Pokeball.
So you're saying he's Voltorb?
Yeah, kind of. Maybe. And she's like, so when are you guys going to have a funeral for this dude? And he's like, oh, yeah. The burial will happen this evening. And she's like, I want to see the casket. And dude's like, well, the king wanted you to be brought to him immediately. And she's like, then I guess I won't spend too long looking at the casket, huh? Let's go. And she notes that there's lots of people here when it cuts to Joe's right. There are a little bit of abrupt transitions. We cut to her at the viewing tent or whatever. It's like there's a lot of people around, and the Scion is like, yeah, he was a popular dude according to our reports. He was the most popular public figure in the country. The entire wooden casket was surrounded by a ring of lavish foods and offering on behalf of the deceased. They couldn't send some of that shit with him. Like, that's mean. They all the stuff is being left for him, and they're like, nah, you can't have this. We'll send you with one little basket of stuff.
We'll leave this in your empty coffin. Meanwhile, the real you gets this shit.
Yeah.
Well, the food wasn't even for him. It was like as an offering to like the god or whatever. So it wasn't even meant for him to begin with.
That's true. It is an offering, and so is this food because it says it's an offering made on behalf of the deceased. So yeah, that's good. That's fair point, I guess. It's an offering to the people of Elantris. Jumped on it.
Yeah, like not everybody in the kingdom knows that he's now a member of the undead. So you've got to make it still look like he just died. So I guess if they would normally do these sorts of offerings, then they still have to do that.
I guess so. That makes sense. They have a cover story that she's not allowed to see him because the prince's disease was unpleasantly disfiguring, and so the king has insisted on a closed casket for dignity purposes.
I love that they went with like sudden disease that killed him rather than unfortunate horse trampling accident or something.
Yeah, right?
Would have taken him very suddenly and unexpectedly.
Yeah. Eaten by a lion in his bed.
Yeah.
Like, something else.
He fell down the stairs, and it was very unfortunate. But no, they're like, disease just popped up.
He went from totally fine to dead in the 5 days.
It happens.
I guess if it was like a fall down the stairs, people would be like, well, we can have an open casket for that. So they need to have some excuse to
They're
have
like,
it closed.
no, he fell down the stairs and
Onto his
into
face.
a pit, and then like into a pit of acid. Like, no, it's not good.
We shouldn't have left the acid pit there. It was a whole discussion.
Yeah. Then he became the Joker, and this giant bat character like had to throw him off a building. It was a whole thing.
We know you people hate clowns, so you don't want to look at that.
Oh, but we find out that it's the coughing shivers that they say that he got. A man of Rowden's age and supposed vigor, dead of the coughing shivers? It could happen, but it certainly doesn't seem likely.
I mean, maybe it's just the day and age we live in, but coughing shivers, like, so he died of COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting point, yep.
Or you could just say, like, whooping cough.
No, it was COVID. I'm sticking with that now.
COVID.
He didn't even have a disease in reality, but yeah, it was COVID now. And she's becoming suspicious already. And she's like, why isn't the king even here? Like, shouldn't he be sitting vigil for his dead son? And like, Ash is like, oh man, your father did ask me to try to keep you out of trouble.
She's like, that's a lost cause and you know it.
And she's not happy. She's like, she's kind of upset that the guy she was supposed to marry went and died without ever meeting her. And there's this whole internal monologue about how she's almost past her prime at 25, should have been married years ago, and Rowden had been her last chance.
Wow, sounds like everybody's a straff in this world.
Right.
It's like, that tells you all you need to know like about this society. 25 years old, you're basically a spinster.
Yeah, over the hill. Sorry. How dare you die on me, Prince of Erelon? It's sad because she actually had started to like this guy in her correspondence with him.
It did throw me a bit when they said, oh, like I spoke to him before we left. I'm just like, whoa, wait, you guys have phones? And it's like, no, we talk through the orbs.
Yep.
Yeah. We do have phones, but we don't call them that. We call them glowy creature things that turn into each other's faces. It's a whole thing.
So basically, their cell phones, they're just like the biggest cell phones ever.
Yeah, and they're also like sweet, like 3D cell phones.
Right.
And they're sentient. So basically, Ash is just Siri.
It makes me think of is it Jor or Jor-El or something? Master of scheduling.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
Yeah, it is Jor-El. I'm pretty sure. I am Jor-El, master of scheduling.
Good times.
Maybe not Jor-El.
It's Jor-El. I brought up the YouTube.
Nice. What's Superman's dad's name?
Sorry, I was listening to that video. What'd you say?
Is Superman's dad's name also Jor-El?
Yeah, Jor-El is Superman's dad.
Yeah.
Come, son of Jor-El, kneel before Zod.
Oh man, classic. So back to what we were doing. She's like, hey, don't worry. I mean, you're gonna be lonely, but you'll have an entire new court to explore. Enjoy that. So she'd been a member of her father's, the king of Teo, his diplomatic corps. So she's experienced at like navigating these sort of situations, or these the courts of other countries, basically. But apparently, Erelon had kind of been unofficially quarantined by other kingdoms because no one understands why Elantrians suddenly became like horrible zombie things, and everyone's worried that it might be some sort of disease that could spread, but that doesn't seem to be the case 10 years later. Then again, they keep them all locked up in the city, so who knows? And she notes that the capital of Erelon doesn't seem to be reflecting the economic hardship that's supposedly being suffered by the rest of the country. And everyone calls the walls of Elantris enormous. I don't think that we have a good idea about exactly how big they are yet, but they are very big. Everyone agrees on that much.
You need to cherry pick it to graffiti the top level.
She's like, why do they live so close to Elantris anyway? Like, this is weird. It's a freaky city that everyone's scared of now. And Ash is like, well, there's only a couple of viable ports on the northern coast of Erelon, which, if you look back at the map, it is the northern coast is the only like coast of this country. So this is the biggest of the ports, or the finest, he says. But apparently their marriage was part of a treaty, and since it technically happened, even though the guy is dead, then the treaty's still in place. And according to the treaty, as long as she stays here and remains faithful to her husband, the king has to honor an alliance with Teod, is the name of the country, I guess. And she's like, oh, remain faithful to a dead guy. Okay, whatever. But the country of Teod needs this treaty because the country of Fjorden is expanding its influence at an incredible rate. Fjorden's priests are gaining in power. The collapse of the Duladen Republic had changed things. So apparently that place that Galadon is from collapsed.
Fell into disarray, and now Viking Pope is there to pick up the pieces.
Right? Gotta love Viking Pope. He's the best.
Yep. It's not going to stop till everybody's converted or everybody's dead.
That does sound very Viking, yeah.
Yeah. Also, just the font on the maps look very like Nordic runes, so...
That's true.
All right.
Yeah.
It's quite a fjord.
So Serene's new father, King Iodine of Erelon, was a thin man with a shrewd face who, when she shows up, is talking with a bunch of people. And he makes her wait, which she is not a big fan of.
Which is kind of a dick move considering he told the guard, bring her to me straight away.
Right? Maybe he found
like,
out that she took a side trip and this is him getting back at her.
I guess.
Or maybe he's just a dick. Who knows?
I mean, being a dick is not mutually exclusive to any of these things.
That's true. Yep. She feels that she's a connoisseur of the character of various nobles, and she feels this guy gives every indication of being a man with a strong personality and a definite idea of how he wanted things done, which is not a bad sign. She's like, maybe I can work with this guy. And then he waves her over, and the first thing he says is, no one told me you would be so tall. And she's like, excuse me? He's like, well, I guess the only one who would have cared about it isn't around to see it anymore, so whatever.
So, no, well, everybody told me you were going to be an ass, but I was going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but I guess not.
And he snaps his fingers and yells for Eshin, or Ishin, who is his wife, apparently. She's just on a rope, so he snaps and she pops up. He's like, take this one to her rooms and see that she has stuff to occupy her, embroidery or whatever else it is that entertains you women. Damn, that's...
Yeah, he's a catch.
I mean, it's like the next little bit, Serene is just like, my God, this woman just doesn't shut up. And I'm just like, look, honestly, if like Serene, you try being married to this dickhead and see how well you just want to blather on about anything that isn't him.
Yeah, that's fair. And like the queen's like, come on, child, we must not waste the king's time. And Serene's like, oh shit, what have merciful Domi, not oh shit, merciful Domi. What have I got myself into?
Yeah, how many times do you think the king has said that to his wife? Like, don't waste my time.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's what he says when he wakes up in the morning.
That's the first thing he says. She's
You're
like,
still here?
I love you. Don't waste my time. Oh, okay. Sorry. And yeah, we get into what Dak was talking about, which this whole next section is just Queen Eshin going on about whatever pops into her head about roses, and she wanted the yellow roses, but they had to make do with the pink roses or whatever because the gardener couldn't find. Oh no, I'm sorry. They had to make do with the yellow ones because the gardener couldn't find the kind that she wanted. And she's like, maybe by next year we'll have some of the pink ones. It'll be great. Orange is, sorry, I missed that. It's the orange ones she likes and the yellow ones that she hates. And Serene's like, no one could possibly talk as much as this woman. She never lets a moment pass with being silent. And then she's like, hey, here's your room. We unpacked your stuff. You've got clothing in every color, even yellow, even though I can't imagine why you'd want yellow because yellow's horrible. But not your hair, of course. Blonde isn't the same as yellow. No more than a horse is a vegetable. We don't have a horse for you yet, by the way.
Yeah, this lady clearly failed her SATs.
Oh yeah.
Horse is to vegetable. Come on.
Yeah, yellow is to blonde as horse is to vegetable. It's exactly,
Sure.
yeah.
No.
What's she got against the color yellow? Was her mother murdered by daffodils or something?
Hot diggity daffodil.
But for now, she won't be allowed to wear anything, even yellow, if she wanted to, because she's in mourning for her dead husband. Quote, I don't know if that's a quote unquote husband. Contractually, they're married. I don't know how that works.
Contractually, but deceased spouse.
Yeah. So she has to wear black for a while. And while talking about the flower arrangements for the service, the queen somehow segues into how much she hates fjordal cooking. And so Serene has to lead the woman to the door politely and kind of like shove her out into the hall.
She's just like, don't waste my time.
Get out. Yeah.
And in the meantime, her Seon, Ash, has been exploring and trying to get information. And he shows up floating through the window and is like, yeah, I didn't, there's not as many Seons as I expected. The city used to be like overflowing with us once upon a time. And everyone is hesitant to discuss the prince's death. They consider it extremely ill-omened for a prince to die so soon before he was to be married. Yeah, that's not good for anybody, probably. And Serene decides that she thinks someone maybe killed the prince, and that's why it's being like hidden. Because she's like, nobody seems bothered by the death of like this person. No one in the court, anyway. There were lots of people over at the tent who were sad about him because they loved him, but the king and the queen don't seem to give a shit.
Oh well, you win some, you lose some. Children?
But apparently the queen's not really his mom. His mom was Iodon's first wife, so they're like, maybe that explains why she doesn't care. Maybe she didn't like her stepson. Who knows? And she has to try on some black clothing, and she complains that all the Aeroline women are unnaturally short. And Ash is like, yeah, okay, if you say so. And then Ash is like, oh, by the way, your dad really wants to talk to you, and there's probably something that you should tell him. Just the ball of light melts into a glowing head, the head of King Eventio of Tiod.
Fantasy FaceTime.
Yeah, basically. It must be really convenient to have this like sentient, like her secretary /friend /cell phone. It's nice.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have one that's like a jerk. I don't know. That would
Guess
suck.
we need to see more of them.
Right? And the king's like, hey, are you nervous about the wedding? And she's like, oh, speaking of the wedding, yeah, you don't really need to come next week. It turns out there's not gonna be a wedding. And so we do find out, like Dak said, that she'd spoken to him through Seon, and we know that he had one because when he woke up in the morning, he's like, hey, where's my Seon? And he's like, look, I know you wouldn't have decided to go through this if you hadn't convinced yourself that you could come to love this guy. You're such a romantic. And she's like, no, whatever. It's a political marriage. We all knew it. It's fine. Now our countries have more in common than just language. Our royal lines are related. Although, if she has to remain faithful to her husband and he's dead, I don't know how they can have an heir to this throne. Maybe that'll come up later.
It's like Bible times. It's like she has to get with a sibling or a relative.
And
who was his best man?
I wonder who. We haven't seen any of his friends yet. Because I feel like maybe his friends, if they don't know what happened, they should also be suspicious. Because for her, it's been 5 days since she talked to him and he was fine. People who know him here, it's been 1 day since they saw him and he was fine, right? So this should be suspicious. But she's like, no, I would have made you go through with the marriage regardless. We need this treaty too much. Our armada won't keep fjording off our shores for much longer. And he's like, oh, my little girl's all grown up. And she's like, yes, all grown up and fully capable of marrying herself off to a corpse. And she's like, besides, if he was anything like his dad, like, geez, you should meet this guy. And her dad's like, yeah, I heard stories. I hope that they weren't true. And she's like, oh, they were. I don't know what stories you heard, but this guy sucks. They were true. Like, he eats babies. I don't care what you heard. It's probably all true. And her dad's like, do you want to come home? We can void the contract. It's fine. And despite how tempting that is, she's like, no, I have to stay. It was my idea. We need this alliance, so on and so forth. And she's like, no, I have to stay. Besides, maybe it'll be interesting to have an entire new court full of people to play with. It says, he says apprehensively, I know that tone. What are you planning? She's like, nothing. Just a few things I want to poke my nose in. It's like, Domi protects them. They don't know what we've shipped over there. Go easy on them. I don't want to get a note from Minister Naolin in a month telling me that the king has run off to join a monastery and that they've made you their monarch instead. He thinks very highly of his daughter. It's nice.
I like their relationship. It's nice to see a good father figure in there.
Right?
Like they're obviously close. It's quite sweet.
The first good father figure we've seen, given that Straff is, I think, the only other one we've had.
Probably.
Yeah, and then the Kelsier surrogate father took her to a place to get stabbed,
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. Although I got a question, like the nickname, it's like Leaky Stick?
Yeah, Lecky Stick.
If that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so apparently it explained that it's like, that's the name of the tall, thin post that marked the goal line in his favorite sport. So even in adolescence, she'd been undeniably lanky. So he's like, you look like that tall, thin stick. I'm going to nickname you that.
That's odd.
That's like a normal dad thing to do, at least in the U.S. It's like nickname your daughter something super. It's endearing yet at the same time insulting.
What, if you're gonna just short and squat, he'd call it football?
Right. I like to imagine that he's sitting there watching his favorite sport on the TV. And he's like, he turns to look at his daughter and she's super tall and thin. And he turns back to look at the screen. It's like, there's that stick right there. He's like, man, you look just like that stick. I'm going to call you Leaky Stick. Oh, gosh. And then I like it. He ends with like, oh, here, let me get your mother. She'll want to talk to you. She's going to faint dead away when I tell her you've already killed off poor Rowden. And she's like, father.
Yeah, fucking brilliant dad move right there.
Yeah.
A little soon for that particular joke.
Yeah. She's just like, honey, you're never gonna believe it. She killed him. He's
Guess
dead.
who's dead?
Yeah, your son-in-law. You never even met him. He's dead.
You know how you were worried about having a son-in-law? Well, guess what? You're gonna see you're in for a good surprise.
Don't have to worry anymore.
It'll be an even bigger surprise if they ever find out he's a zombie.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, we say it's like, oh, he shouldn't be making jokes about it. She was making jokes about this, so I think she just opened it up.
That's okay. That's fair. She has to make jokes or else cry at this point. So we cut to chapter 3 where we meet yet another new character. None of Erelon's people greeted their savior when he arrived. It was an affront, but not an unexpected one. Hrathen, whatever, I'm saying Hrathen, He has 3 months to convert the entire kingdom of Erelon, otherwise Holy Jadeath, Lord of all creation, would destroy it. So that's a heck of a timetable. Yeah.
No pressure.
He doesn't seem to. He seems to be enjoying the idea of this challenge. So I guess there used to be 4 small cities surrounding Elantris, and I think you can probably see them on the map of that shows Elantris. But only this one, the new capital, is still inhabited. No fortifications, because in the past, they lived in the shadow of the city of immortal gods or whatever. So who needs city walls and stuff, right? But this guy's immediate thought is like, how militarily defendable is this? Like, he's like, you couldn't even retreat into Elantris, and they wouldn't help that much. But of all the places on this continent, the land named Opalon by the Erelines, only Erelon itself had avoided coming under dominion of the Fjordal Empire. So this seems to be like a theocracy, maybe. The religion seems to be kind of leading this empire, from what we're hearing. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's the impression I get.
Religious military expansion.
Heck of a thing.
Yep.
And so the people are very impressed as he walks down the street in such a way that the conversations stop and everyone's just staring at him as he walks down the street in his blood red armor, the plate armor of a Drethi Imperial High Priest. So the High Priest of the Empire gets special armor to show off.
I mean, walking around in a blood red suit of armor, that's a pretty big statement.
Right? And he's like, he's starting to think he's going to have to find his own way to the Drethi Chapel when finally a dude in red shows up. And he's like, oh, hey, Lord Rathan, what's up? I'm so sorry that we thought you were coming in on a different ship. We didn't even find out until they were halfway done unloading that you were on this ship. And Rathan is not impressed by this dude, this Fionn. I don't know how you would say this name. And the names from Duladel and this empire, the Fjordal empires, seem to use different pronunciation or language terms, which are not in the pronunciation guide, I don't think. So some of them are. Like, apparently Fjorden is pronounced Fjorden. So the J doesn't really seem to have much effect.
Well, that sort of adds a sort of a Y to it. Fjorden.
Very
Nordic.
The way I was saying it is like Nordic, like Fjorden, but in this pronunciation it's just Fee, F-E-E, and then or. So yeah. Anyway, so you can't even follow the same pronunciation rules necessarily for these other country names. So maybe this guy's name is Phone. But he's smiling, and Phone is that Fionn, whatever. Waving to people on the streets, calling out pleasantries. And Rathan is not impressed by any of this. And when they show up to the chapel, there's like some sort of social event going on. People milling around, laughing and joking. And it's just that this is so far over the line that Rathan's like, okay, no, this is too much.
The fun police are here.
Heresy.
Yeah, that's exactly. It is. It's the fun police, exactly. Arteth Fionn, assemble your priests, and they kick everybody out, and they have a priest meeting, and he's like, Arteth, which I guess is some level of priesthood. He's like, the ship that brought me here is leaving in 1 hour. You're going to be on that ship. You're going back to Fjorden. And the guy's like, what? He's like, speak Fjordal, man. Surely 10 years among these heathens hasn't corrupted you so much you've forgotten your native tongue. And the guy's like, but enough. I have orders from Rin himself. Or Wyrn, however you want to say that. I say Rin.
Yeah, I've been saying Wyrn, but I don't know.
Wyrn makes sense.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Wyrn.
Viking Pope.
Yeah, Viking Pope. There we go. I'd forgotten. We had a good name for him. So Viking Pope says you've been here too long and you've forgotten your holy calling. You are not you're not good enough to see to the progress of Jadeath's empire. They don't need a friend. They need a priest, a Drethi priest, watching you fraternize. We're not here to love the people. We're here to help them. You will go.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And he's like, but who's going to lead the temple? The other Arteths don't have enough experience. And he's like, I'll take over. And then we cut to him. He's hanging out in his room, which he's taken over from this other guy. Not a great view, sadly, but you do with what you have.
Should have kicked someone out who had a better office.
Right.
Well, this guy was the head honcho, so he should have had the best office by default. But
Maybe he did. Maybe they just all have terrible officers.
Yeah.
Man, this building's a shithole. We really need a second story.
Yeah, well, he's not happy that
Considering a
it's not majestic enough to have a second floor, but
move.
and like he's already removed all the guy's paintings from the walls and thrown out all of his personal effects. The chamber was approaching a level of dignified orderliness appropriate for a Dorethi Giorn. All it needs now is some tapestries, maybe a shield or two.
Really spruce the place up.
Yeah, I was like a shield or two just around a room. It ties the room together.
Yeah. I mean, what office is complete without a tapestry?
Yeah, exactly. But the good old Fionn shows back up. He's like apologizing, like, I'm sorry, I've messed up. And then Hrathen turns into the operative from Serenity, where he's like, do you know what your sin is? It was complacency.
I don't remember that as one of the
Killed me
seven.
with a sword.
How weird is that?
I guess that would come under sloth.
Maybe, yeah. Contentment has destroyed more nations than any army. I don't know that that's true, but okay.
Yeah.
And he tells him, okay, look, you're going to go back and find a new way to serve the Empire. It'll be great. We are Jadeith's chosen people, and we all have a place in his empire. Return to the homeland, join a monastery, reacquaint yourself with the things you've forgotten. And he's like, and I want you to understand something. My arrival here is not a bad thing for you. This is more of a blessing than you know, because you don't have what it takes to do what is going to have to be done. And so he's like, look at that scroll right there on the table. And the dude's like, this has the official seal of Viking Pope himself. He's like, no, not just his seal, his signature as well. That was penned by His Holiness himself. This is not just a letter, it is scripture. And he lets the dude read it, and when the dude is done, he's like, wow, thanks. Yeah, I couldn't have done what needs to be done here. I do not envy you your place, my lord, not anymore. And Hrathen pulls an envelope out of his bag. He's like, here, when you get back, give this to the priests. It's a letter from me telling them to accept your reassignment with grace befitting a servant of Jadeith. And he's like, oh, thank you so much, and withdraws. And he's like, man, this guy got really lucky. I almost gave him this other letter that would have condemned him as a traitor, and he would have been, like, killed or something. I guess it doesn't say exactly what would have happened to him. So that worked out well for Fionn, even if he wasn't aware of how badly it might have gone.
Once again, he's a savior.
No, he's here to save everybody. That's what Hrathen's here for. He's the good guy of this story. You guys just don't know it yet.
Right, exactly. He is the savior. He's the guy. He's the one. He's like Neo.
Neo in a bitchin' suit of armor.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
Neo had a blood red suit of armor, maybe Agent Smith
Right.
wouldn't have messed with him.
I think it's the blood red suit and the fervent following of a god, but this guy just reminds me of Game of Thrones.
I could see that. I could see him being.
Yeah, I got the same impression.
He starts interviewing all the other Arteths, and he's like, man, this guy really messed up his underlings. He'd been lenient to the point of flagrancy. Oh, goodness. Half the priests were hopelessly corrupted, including men as new to the city as 6 months. He's like, I'm going to have to send, like, all these dudes back and get better ones.
Like, how long does it take to get here? You've got 3 months, dude.
That's true. I mean, we know it doesn't take long to get here from Teod, so maybe they're not that much farther. Who knows?
Yeah.
And he's like, I got to pick a head Arteth from the ones who are left, but they all kind of suck, so I don't know. And then we meet Arteth Diloff, who, strangely, is an Araleen. He's like, how on earth did you become a priest of Dorethi? And the guy's like, I wanted to serve the Empire. Jadeith provided a way. He's like, yeah, Jadeith always provides a way. Be more specific. I want you to answer my damn question when I ask it, not come up with some BS. And so this guy's a local that was recruited and is apparently fiercely loyal to this religion, at least from what we see here. And he's like half the people here came with me. I moved here not that long ago from a different city where I was leading the locals. And he's like, look, I agree that Fionn, he sucked. He was the worst. His laxness is what kept Jadeith's kingdom from growing in Erelon. He made a mockery of our religion. And Hrathen's like, yeah, this guy's good.
Death to Fionn. Sure.
Fionn was lax. He was lazy. It's like, yeah, okay, yes. You're right on the money.
Yeah, he smelled like I don't know, BO.
But Hrathen is impressed not only at this guy's like fervor, but he speaks the holy tongue better than any foreigner he's ever heard. So he's like, this guy might be useful. Like, one complaint that people always have about Shu Dureth, which I guess is the religion, is that it favors the Fjordals. They're the chosen people. So I guess they get favorable treatment in this religion, which would make it hard to convert other peoples, you know.
All are welcome, but not quite as welcome as us.
Everyone's equal, but we're the most equal.
Yeah.
And so he's like, man, this guy's got a lot of passion in his eyes. This is, and ambition. So he's like, are you sworn as any man's Odiv? The guy's like, no. And he's like, good, then I will make you mine. So apparently that's a thing. He's like, you're my Odiv and I'm your Hrodin. You will be mine heart and soul. If you follow Jadeath, you follow him through me. If you serve the Empire, you serve it under me. Whatever you think, act, or say will be at my direction. So this is a pretty serious commitment, it seems like.
Yep.
This is one of those things that I was like, it's meant to sound like it benefits our friend, the one who's being promoted. I can't remember his name. I don't.
Diloff.
Diloff. Okay. It's meant to sound like this is all really good for you, but at the same time, it's like I'm covering my ass. Yeah. Don't want to get you like too high up. You still just remember your place, my friend.
Yeah. Well, and the way that he says it here, he's like, apparently Hrathen is an important Gjorn, whatever, you know, so many new words, but he's a high up dude. And so being his like direct report or whatever you call, you know, his Odiv gets you a lot of power and respectability. It's like he would be Hrathen's slave if that slavery would carry him higher. So it's sort of mutually beneficial, but yeah, it really sounds like it's not that great. But it's a very Fjordal thing to do. Ambition was the one emotion Jadeath would accept as readily as devotion. So that's an interesting note, is that ambition is big in this religion. They like that. So he's like, here's your first order. Fionn is supposed to be getting on a ship. I want you to follow him, and if he doesn't, then you kill him. And dude's like, I'm on it.
Here's your first order. Bring me Peter Pan.
And then after he leaves, Hrathen's like, I'm going to read my letter from the Viking Pope. It's just that awesome.
Even though I already know it off by heart, I'm going to read it again.
Because I like it.
So that we can read it, which is convenient for us. And it's just so, like, behold the words of Jadeath through his servant, Wyrn Wulfdin IV, Emperor and King, High Priest and Son. Your request has been granted. So, yeah, okay. It's very dramatically written. Not much longer will I slumber within a tomb of rock. The day of empire is at hand.
Behold!
So, yeah, he's like, I've got an army ready, and we're going to take these people. There's 3 months left before the destruction of all who oppose my empire, so that's how long you get to try to convert them. So these are the words of Jadeath, Lord of all creation, but written by his servant, the Emperor and Prophet, ruler of Jadeath's holy kingdom and regent of all creation. Well, that's not overly dramatic at all.
Yeah. Viking Pope don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Viking Pope, prophet of the hierarchs of the covenant.
And so he's like, this is going to be great. I'm going to be the one to bring these kingdoms around and convert them. It'll be awesome. And he's like, they've resisted for this long, but someday they're going to call me their savior. And that's the end of our chapters for that this week.
Man, so much, a lot of posturing in these chapters.
You're not wrong.
Like, she's going to be queen of the court. Raiden's going to be king of the zombies. This guy's going to be the savior of the world.
King of the trolls, king of the zombies, whatever.
Yeah, zombie trolls. You know, he's not discriminating.
Okay, so
zombie trolls. That's like oh man, we just read the series and I can't remember their names. The giant blue guys.
Oh, Koloss, yeah.
So he runs into one in the streets. He's like, hey, what are you doing here? Human, no.
Yeah,
human just shows up.
Human was on Scadrial, now human here. Need to take whiz.
So, a lot of stuff to take in this time around. A lot of new things. let's move into predigments. What do you guys think? What are we going to see out of this book, out of these characters, and so on?
Well, it's pretty early days. This Jadeth religion, I think we're setting them up to be the ultimate bad, even though this guy thinks he's Domi's gift to everybody.
I like the incorporation of Domi there. That was good.
Yeah, are you pleased I remembered that? I am. Yeah, I think they're probably going to be the ultimate bad. I think we're going to see, oh my god, I can't remember their names. Serene?
Rowden?
Yep. I think we're going to see them find each other probably fairly quickly. I don't know. I think she's going to get really curious. She's already really curious about what happened to him, and she's going to dig in and find out. And yeah, I don't know whether it's going to become like we need to find a cure, or maybe it's I don't know, something about this religion. They are working on things separately, and I don't know. I don't know how our zombie friends are going to fare in this very well. I don't think it's going to be about a cure necessarily, but I do think they'll team up at some point and, yeah, ultimately, I guess, overthrow this religion in 3 months' time, maybe, before they're all destroyed. But we've got the other, is it Teod? The other country?
Yeah, the country, yeah.
Yeah,
Serene's country.
to consider in there too. So once they're done here, they've still got to save there too. But yeah, that's kind of all I've got this week. Still very, very early days.
Mm-hmm.
As far as our characters go, I think that Rowden is going to he's just going to explore. He's going to try and find the secrets that are buried in Elantris. I think he will find out what eventually happened in there and why everything changed from being, oh, this is a place where everything is wonderful and people become superhuman, to everyone here is like stricken with some kind of plague. So I feel like there are a few things that are just sort of like sticking out to me because we've just been reading Secret History and learning all about the shards. I've been thinking in those terms. I feel like the shard that turns people, I think that was a process controlled by one of the shards, and I don't know if either, like, you know, you had a benevolent shard like Preservation who was there granting these powers to people, you know, trying to be equal in who he or she gave the powers to, and then either someone killed that shard and ascended, and the change in powers, like the change in the shard's powers as a result of the new user somehow fucking everything up, or else another shard showed up and booted the benevolent one out and is now just messing with people and turning them into zombies. I feel like the fact that, you know, they were very confused by, the Seons, there's meant to be heaps of them around here because this is where they came from when Elantris was a good place, a pleasant place. Now all of a sudden they're gone. I'm just like, that sort of reminded me of how the mists avoided people touched by ruin. So maybe if it is another shard, then all of a sudden the Seons are just like, well, that's like power from an opposite shard that we will have nothing to do with, so we're going to back off. But yeah, I do feel like the word shard is not going to come up in this book. It didn't come up at all in the mainline Mistborn trilogy. It only showed up in supplemental materials, so I don't think it's just going to be people talking about different gods and different powers. I don't know if Jadeth is going to be one of these alternative shards. He's, you know, living under a rock, so who knows how that's going to go. But yeah, I feel like that's going to be Rowland's journey, is digging into Elantris, finding out the secrets of just what the hell happened and why it went from a city of shining lights to a city of slime and goop.
That makes sense. I mean, he's got to do something. He's stuck in there now. He's going to have to figure out something to do with his life at this point.
He just seems like a naturally curious dude trying to figure out what the fuck. So, and maybe he will become king of the zombies. And then when Viking Pope leads people across Arelon to try and kill them all of a sudden it's Rowland and the zombie army who saves the day. Who knows?
I also like
Vikings versus zombies.
There's your one line pitch for this book, Vikings versus zombies. But I like the idea that we might be dealing with like another like shard duo, and we can try to spot how they're operating behind the scenes.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of hope it's not a duo because we just came off a book where that was the crux of it. So,
Yeah.
but
Fair point.
but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's I feel like at least one shard is involved in all this.
Makes sense. Okay.
So yeah, I like what you guys both said. We definitely got some interesting things, Dak. I like the parallels you're drawing from what we kind of know from behind the scenes with Secret History. And basically, my theory is like, yeah, Raiden may actually uncover some truths within Elantris. And I'm just gonna work with this theory for right now. I think his dad is somehow behind it.
Ooh.
Reading some of the stuff that we've just from these first couple of chapters, it sounds like his dad kind of came to power in this area when Elantris fell.
Yeah.
So it seems like maybe he might have had something to do with that. And I'm gonna take that a step further and draw some parallels like Dak did. I'm gonna say that originally the powers that came upon people that were living in Elantris was some kind of investiture from a shard, and either that shard's power was corrupted by a separate person like Dak said, or maybe even somebody attempted to kill the shard, and maybe they killed, kind of like how preservation was dying. It's like this shard is like the power has kind of been severed from the body, so now it's kind of going wild and it's uncontrollable, and instead it's like it's becoming these things. Also, it's turning people into zombies is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Also,
Gotcha.
the Shayad, the touched by the Shayad, is that what turns them into zombies? Is that what they're saying?
So the shout or whatever is what they called the process of becoming an Elantrian.
Okay.
So whether it was back in the good days or whether it's now when you get turned into a zombie, it's
Right.
that change.
And then what are the balls of light guys called? The ash.
Seons, Seon.
Okay. So I think the Seons are like a different investiture like process, like they're powered by something else. And also, I don't know if I just kind of surmise this or if it's somehow hinted at in these chapters, but I think the Seons used to be like regular people too, and then they turn into Seons.
Oh.
Again, I don't know if that's hinted at in here, but something I read in the chapters made me think that. I'm not sure what.
Okay.
Something about him, Ash, I guess, like living in K or visiting K or something like that. But he may have done it as a Seon. I don't know. But so my working theory on that is that they were humanoid at one point, and then they transformed into like this different form of energy matter. And if we're gonna really tie it to like Secret History, maybe it's like they become pure spirit or something. So I'm worried, I think that might be interesting. But yeah, I want to see Raiden like uncover some secret in Elantris, and that his dad's actually secretly behind this stuff, which is also why he's kind of like just shooing under the covers that his son is now in Elantris, and I maybe his original mother dying had also had something to do with what's going on now. I'm just throwing that out there because that's what we know about him, right? His mom died. So we've got that. And then as far as Serene goes, Serene, whatever, I think she's going to uncover some secrets on her end as well. And I do think maybe they're going to team up eventually, her and Raiden. But my guess is it's going to be like at the halfway point or near the end of the book. I don't know that they're going to meet like early on in the book. I think that's more of something that like kind of gets uncovered near the end, possibly for her. But I think she's going to work her way through the court, do some fun and interesting things. She seems like a strong personality, so that's exciting. Now this Hrathen, this guy's crazy. I don't know.
This guy crazy.
Like I said, I love a zealot.
And then there's this asshole.
Zealots are always really interesting, and so I just kind of see some major shakeups. Like I don't think he's going to be a dude yelling on the corner with a sign saying the end is nigh. Like I don't think that's what we're going to see. I think he's going to take some like pretty direct approaches to what he's going to do. So far, that he doesn't strike me as somebody who's super calculating or conniving, but maybe I'm wrong on that. He seems more like based on what we've read so far, he seems more like a reactionary to me. So I don't know that he has like some big plan, but again, we only read one chapter with him, so maybe he does.
Right.
But I think these things are all going to converge, like his god's wrath, the secrets of Elantris, and the intrigue in the court. I think they're gonna have a collision in the book, and these three characters are so main characters that they're eventually all going to become acquainted with one another. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Like everybody else said, still really early on in the book, so those theories may change, but that's what I got.
Scions are the new like Koloss or Inquisitors. Maybe there's like a spike in there somewhere.
Right, like there's something in there that does something.
Can I just tack on something that occurred to me listening to you talk about the Scions and whatnot?
Sure.
Like in that first chapter when they're talking about, burning the boy or killing the boy, they say, what happens to the soul? And this is like they sort of talk about, what happens to them? And then they make a point. There was a point later that the Scions were, some sort of product of the power of Elantris. So maybe they're the souls of Elantrians who have died, but their soul just like exists as this ball of light that travels around.
And they wouldn't know,
be bad
I guess.
Or good.
Well, maybe they lose their memories. Yeah. Their specific memories when they die and become just a ball of light, soul light.
And so and it almost struck me, the relationship between the Scions and the people almost struck me as like a demon relationship from Golden Compass. It's like, like they're almost tied to an individual, because when he's dead and he calls for what we assume is his Scion doesn't show up. So it's not like his Scion just like random, like we joked about it, but it's not like his Scion just took off. So maybe when he like died, his Scion was gone. So I don't know that that's correlated, but I mean, obviously we don't know where his Scion is. So
yeah. That is also a cool point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide if that would you want to become a ball of light to live maybe forever as like a freaky ball of light after you died? Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, better than a zombie who feels every pain ever.
Well, okay, yeah, no, you're not wrong. That's fair.
Yeah. Zombie who feels every pain ever, ball of light. Well,
I'll go with a ball of light.
Yeah, good call. I also like your idea that somehow like the king is behind everything, and it's like at first I was gonna be like, well, why would he do that to his own son? And then I remembered that there's a section in this chapter where they're like, yeah, Rowden's like the most popular figure among the public. So it's like, oh, so maybe he was a threat to the king in some way.
Yeah, and I mean, he could have waited for this opportune time because he still wanted this treaty with this other king.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay, well, they signed the marriage contract. Now I can kill my son. Or even if he's not behind specifically the killing, maybe the killing and going into Elantris is like a byproduct of something that he did, whenever he came to power in this land, in this area.
Okay. That's interesting. So yeah, those are you guys came up with some decent stuff, given that we know very little about what's going on so far. So I like how much thought you're putting into it. So actually, for next time, and I'm going to give you guys some information and answer a question that I've gotten a few times. So for next time, we're reading 3 chapters, 4, 5, and 6. And I've gotten the question from a few different people if we're going to do this book in chapter triads, because this book is written, I don't know if it's entirely or just almost entirely, but at least mostly, if not completely, in triads, with the 3 characters that we've just read about, each getting a chapter in that same order. So we get Rowden, Serene, and Harathan. We get chapters from their perspective, and they tend to occur in roughly the same time, like cover roughly the same time. So sometimes you'll even get scenes that, like, you'll see the scene from one character's perspective, and then the next chapter you see from another character's perspective, who's also there somewhere.
Okay. That sort of makes sense, because like, didn't Serene see a dude, like a plague victim, being led to Elantris, and so we just sort of assumed that was him?
Yeah. So people have asked me if we're going to do the book in that way, because it kind of makes sense to do in these groups. I'm still basing it mostly on the length of the chapters. And so for the first few episodes, we do actually end up just coincidentally being in 3 chapter chunks. But towards the end of the first third of the book, the chapters get a lot longer each, and we move into 2 chapter episodes. So we're going to read episodes where it'll be like, we'll have like a Rowden and then a Serene chapter, and then it'll be Hrathen, and then Rowden, and then Serene and Hrathen in the next episode. So it'll end up broken up. And then towards the back half of the book, the chapters get way shorter, and we end up with like 6 chapters an episode, or there may even be a couple episodes that are more than 6 chapters.
Wow.
So I decided not to do the triads each episode in favor of keeping the length of the chapters or the length of the sections we read about the same. So the length of the show hopefully stays about the same, and we don't end up with like dramatically longer episodes and then dramatically shorter episodes. But yeah, so that to answer the question that I've gotten several times, that is what we're doing, and that's the reasoning behind it. But for next time, we are still doing 3 chapters, 4, 5, and 6. So we'll get another triad for the next episode. Other than that, we have one email, and let me check real quick to make sure we don't have a new review since I last looked.
Yeah, well, nobody's getting called a seance, so just forget about that.
I'm sure everyone's very upset about that. Like, I want to be a Seon. I want to be Aish. I want to be a specific character.
You want to be a zombie? I'll make you a zombie. You're a zombie.
Oh yeah, sweet zombies. Okay, so I think the last one we read was stole my wife's iPhone to do this review.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
So we actually have 2 reviews since then. So let's do the email first, then we'll go back and hit the reviews. So our email this week is from Andre, who says the title of the email is Brazilian Fan. Hello, guys. My name is Andre, but you can call me Drew if you want. So you guys have options here. And I'm from Brazil. I've been listening to your podcast for the past month, and I really love it. I'm currently on episode 16, and every time Joe sings It Sucks to Be a Ska, I sing alongside him, and it's really fun. Miracle of Sound, better be careful, otherwise Joe might take his place. Which is hilarious because for the episode that came out last week, that is exactly what happened.
Oh, awesome. Wow, if he's only on episode 16, can you imagine how long it's going to be before he hears this?
He hears this episode. Yeah, He says, I'm having lots of fun. I laughed out loud so many times hearing you guys that I lost count. I read Mistborn for the first time earlier this year and liked it so much that I'm basically doing what I call a Brandon Sanderson book marathon, which is reading all the Cosmere books. So I hope to catch up with y'all soon. If you guys read this, it will probably be a little while until I find out. I made some basic cover art for you guys, and I hope you like it. It's the Sanderlanche podcast written in the Steel alphabet, and he included several images that he's put together for us, which are very cool Mistborn images, which we now can't use because we've just moved away from Mistborn. So I'm actually going to be changing the art on our various pages to be something not Mistborny anymore.
Well, post them on the gram. Let people see.
Yeah. I'll put them on Instagram or maybe Facebook or something. So that'll be great. Keep up the awesome work, and greetings from Brazil. So thanks, Andre. That was awesome. I love the art pieces, and I will definitely do something with them that people will get to see.
Instagram?
Yeah, probably Instagram.
Yeah.
Although once again, by the time this episode comes out, we'll have moved away from. And I'll be trying to Instagram
have to be specifically related to Elantris. You can post another post.
Yeah. I can make another post. I don't even have to make it on Monday. I can make it on some other day. Just to be like, hey, look at this cool stuff.
You posted memes, damn it. You can post this.
Yeah.
Do it! Just do it!
I was thinking about Facebook because I post like fewer random fun things on Facebook than on Instagram. But if everyone's determined it should be Instagram because that's where pictures go, then we can do that. So our 2 reviews, both 5-star. Just putting that out there. The first one is from Coco Bark. And it says, Friendly is the title. I love reading and following along with y'all. I'm listening on Spotify, but there's no way to rate it there. Thanks for putting this together. It's refreshing for those of us reading alone, having no one with which to speculate. That's it.
Oh, well, Coco Bark. You pierced my heart. You saw right through me. You're a tin
Shot through the heart. I'm sorry, say it again. I sang it.
Tin Eye.
Oh, gosh. Way to go, Coco Bark. You're a tin eye. Welcome to the Misting Crew. And the second one is from Apple Podcasts Iceland, from our friend Ivar, who sent us some emails. He says, who needs a book club when you have the Sanderlanche? Fantastic podcast for people hacking through the Sanderson catalog for the first time. Dana, the host, does a great job hosting, and the rest of the crew have great chemistry and a diverse set of theories.
I think we addressed this in a different episode. Data.
It's funny because there after the episode came out this week, somebody in the Discord was like, hey, Joe's thing really worked. Even listening on 1.5 speed, it was very obvious what he was saying, and I understood.
Oh yeah, I forgot I said it real slow. Data. There you go. With a T. Hey man, you hacked away, right? You said we're hacking away through the books. You're hacking away to our hearts and to our reviews. So you're a thug.
There you go, Ivar. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys get Mistborn titles because again, we don't know nothing about the powers here. So I don't know what to call you other than that.
Also, I got a comment the other day on the in the Discord that's like, I like how whenever someone sends an email, they get their name said, but whenever you talk about something that got said in the Discord, it's like, yeah, some person in the Discord said this.
Yeah, some guy.
Like,
whose blood?
I'm like, look, I have the emails open in front of me as I'm reading them. I don't have Discord open while I'm recording, so I don't want to be distracted by pings. So I'm just remembering things that happened in Discord. So to anyone else who's out there, like, who said these things from Discord? I don't know. It happened sometime in the past. I'm not looking for it. That's laziness for you.
Yep. That's what we are here at the Sanderlanche. Lazy.
Kupo. And then we got one reply to our most recent post of an episode on Twitter that somebody, I'm assuming that they're referring to Joe, and it's really horrible. Maybe they're referring to someone else. It says it's TEH, worst guy on the podcast, having the worst taste in video games is the reveal of the year. There's always another secret, I guess.
Whoa! Yeah, that's gotta be about me.
Worst because you were talking about your taste in video games. Like, it's either you or me at that point, because we were talking about video games in that last episode. Yeah.
Well, wait, that last episode, didn't we talk about Final Fantasy IX a bunch in the episode, in just this last one we did, or was it the one before?
Ooh, I don't remember for sure.
Hey, anyway, video games, they're a large category of entertainment, just like movies. You know, people are gonna like different stuff.
Oh man, this person. Anyway, so thank you everyone for your emails. Or we got one email. Thank you, Andre, and thank you for the reviews, Coco Bark and Ivar. If you guys want to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. You can leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts and get jumped into the misting crew by Joe if you leave a 5-star review. You can find us on Twitter, on Instagram, as we've just been talking about, on Facebook, all the places on the internet where things happen. We are there. Music by Miracle of Sound, and like I said, that is the new song this week, or that started this week, is called The City of Dreams. And that we will have that for, if my schedule holds out, the next 17 episodes. Or 16 more after this one, I guess. But, yeah. So, remember, for next time, 3 more chapters, 4, 5, and 6 of Elantris. So, if you're following along, check those out. I know we had some people in the Discord who were like, I haven't read Elantris yet. I'm going to follow along with them. So,
ooh,
I love that. I'm very excited to see if anyone can actually stick with that, with our pace that we set. I know I wouldn't be able to. I read through the 14 books in the Wheel of Time in the last few weeks. Like, I could not slow down to our pace if I had to on a new book.
Good luck to you if you are trying it out, though. Enjoy.
Yeah,
I'm impressed. You're a better man than I, Gunga Din, as the thing goes.
Make it shine, Gunga Din.
I just read that full poem for the first time yesterday. It's a really messed up poem.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, and wuzzing to the time of next.
Kupo. Wuzzing to the time of next, Kupo. There you go. Now you got it.
No, that's how we incorporate Elantris. It's just like, wuzzing to the time of next. Colo?
Yeah.
Colo.
Yeah, that's good. It's like wuzzing to the time of next. You understand?
Yeah. Because it's hard to understand, because it's spook talk.
I love that, actually.
Wuzzing to the time of next. I gotta figure out how to say it just right.
Mine into a little, get out in the city of dreams. Get up, now we're setting you free. Get out, the voice will never die. Seed up on the ledge, running out on the edge. Ghosts in the city of dreams.
So before we start, pronunciation of some of these names.
Oh, yeah.
Far out. Our prince, Is it Rowden?
Let me see if there's a pronunciation key somewhere, because that's a really good
Yeah.
question.
That's
I've been
I read it
saying
as Rowden.
Raoden, but I don't know.
What have you been saying, Joe?
Raoden.
Raoden.
Okay, on his website, he has a pronunciation guide. So let's see what it
Sweet.
says.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to go there.
It is Raoden. It is,
Raoden?
I in my head I always said Rowden, but apparently it is
Yeah.
Is
Raoden.
it like Raoden all at once, or is it Ray Odin?
This has it as capital RAY dash OH-DEN.
Ray Odin.
Raoden.
Raoden.
Raoden. 3 syllables.
So
Raoden.
close to what I was saying, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then our princess, it says that her name is pronounced Serene or Serene if you want to get technical.
I was just going to call her Serene.
Serene is, that's how I say
Yeah.
it. Serene sounds dumb to me, so I'm not doing that.
Yes.
Serene.
Okay, so Raoden. Serene. We're happy with that?
Sure, I'm good
Yep.
with that.
Wait,
Serene.
what's the high priest name again?
Oh,
Rothen.
according to this, that is pronounced Raven with a very subtle H at the beginning.
So like Raven.
Raven.
Raoden.
I call him
Kuhit.
Harathan in my head, and I'm making. We'll have to bring this up when we get after the music. Be like, look, these names are pronounced weird. We're gonna say them different ways, maybe. That's all there is to
Okay.
it.
Good
Couldn't it-
news,
couldn't it been
everyone. This is my friend Rothen. Raven.
Couldn't have been like Vin, you know?
Right.
So easy. So easy. I swear we did not have this much trouble in Mistborn. I started reading it and I was like, oh my god. I can't. My brain is not processing any of this.
Yeah, I kept thinking, oh god, I probably gotta remember these names, don't I?
Yeah, and it's like name after name, then city, then country, then another country, then a religion, then all the titles of the religion. I was like, oh my god. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, many words.
It's a lot
Just
real
looking at the
quick.
princess going, Serene, Vin Jr. We're going with Vin Jr.
Okay. And the country that they're in, is it Aralon or Arlon or
I always said
Aralon?
Aralon. According to this, it is pronounced Aralon.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Aralon?
I'm gonna say Aralon. I'm gonna continue saying that.
Aralon. Okay, cool. That's fine.
Oh gosh.
R-Ray Lone. There's no E at the end.
Or we can just do it all our own way. And Sanderlanche.
You can go your own way. Yeah, people will be like, what?
Okay.
Oh, it even has like a list of the vowels and how you say. Apparently, there are no U sounds in this language.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay.
The O is pronounced as in boat. The E is pronounced as in eat or as in bake. The I is like bike, and the A is like bake.
So is Ash Ashe, or is it really Ash?
Oh, also according to this, sorry, just while I'm reading this, a double I pronounces both long I sounds. So that's the thing.
Oh man.
I think we're gonna have to talk about this in the episode. Like, we can't waste all this great material.